So thanks everyone for being on the call today. This webinar is being recorded. By participating in this webinar, you agree that Angelique Robbins has all rights to this recording, and you grant her permission to use your image in any written or spoken comments you choose to offer during the course of the webinar in any manner she chooses. Do you guys agree to this? Cool. Great. So all of you know who I am and you know who Geschichte is, correct? If you want me to go explain that, just raise your hand and I will. Okay, so I'm not going to go into all of that. So today we'll just, I'm going to sing, and once I sing, you'll be speaking with Geschichte, and we can go ahead and get started on the alchemy. Are you guys okay with that? Great. So you know the drill. Everyone just relax. And just please mute yourselves, and then if you want to ask a question or something, then just unmute yourself whenever you want to do that. Okay. So, of course, the video is being recorded, and then I also record this on audio, and I posted on my Facebook page, both the business, the Angel-Geschichte, and my personal one. So you can always find the recordings on those pages, both audio and video. And then you're, of course, welcome to share it with whomever you wish. Oh, say Safanata. Oh, say Safanata. Ooh, ooh, hey. Safe men come, Seiken. Safe men come, Seiken. Ooh, safe no. Ooh, for say, say, come, say, can, hey, Honote, hey, Honote, come forte. He come forte. Come forte. He come forte. Hey, All for wholeness. Oh, for sun, tien no, nyam fortiet, nyam fortiet. All for sun, tien no. Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning or evening, wherever you are. Good to see all of you. So for those of you that have not done these emotional alchemy sessions before, we'll just give it a little introduction of the importance of emotional alchemy and what it's meant to do. Emotional alchemy is the ability to take negative emotions and transform them into positive emotions. So if you really think about your life and think about your involvement in your life, what you realize is that emotions play a gigantic factor in every step of your life journey. And if you examine your memories and your thoughts, you realize that memories and thoughts both have accompanying, how do you say that? Accompanying. Anyway, they have emotions that accompany them. So there's no way to say or think or believe that emotions play no part in your well-being, because they're literally attached to every aspect of your journey. Even if you're having physical pain, you have emotions that are accompanying the physical pain. Yes? So when you really start to examine your life, you realize, wow, yeah, no matter what area you're talking about, I have emotions that accompany all of those areas. And when I really examine my memories, I can easily see that what stands out the most is not the visual, it's not the smells, it's not the touch even necessarily, it's the emotions that accompanied the other senses. So when you realize this, you start to have a very deep understanding of the important role that emotions play. So when you really examine what's going on in your world right now and the many layers of what's going on in your world right now, you can see how even if you're just talking about something very basic, like being afraid of being sick, emotion plays a very important role in becoming ill, because emotion plays a very important role in your own immunity. And those who are better at handling their emotions, those who are better at being able to sample different perspectives and have different outcomes emotionally from those different perspectives, are able to have a better handle with their emotional self, and therefore are going to experience better results with their health. when you take it to even deeper levels, meaning the conspiracy levels that are going on at the same time, being able to handle your emotions in that regard is also important. Because how can you all fully become your most powerful self, your most empowered self, and unite with one another for your own collective well-being if you don't have any ability to have mastery with your emotional states? So when you consider that unity is one of the main factors of triumph for a collective, then you must realize that being able to handle your emotions with maturity is very important, because those who can handle themselves in a mature fashion in regard to emotion can problem solve together. They can handle difficult truths together. They can stand together in states of awareness instead of being in states of denial. When you are able to have unity, what ceases to exist? Well, fighting ceases to exist when you have unity. Because at that point, the understanding between people is we are going to problem solve to help the collective humanity have the healthiest, most abundant, happiest life. And when you consider that arguing occurs primarily because people do not know how to handle their own emotions. And so instead of it being a respectful debate, it becomes a conversation of insults. And most likely you can see that going on all over the place right now in your world. And so everything you're seeing in your world right now is actually a reflection. It's a reflection of a few things, but one of the main things that it's a reflection of is emotional immaturity. And denial is also a part of emotional immaturity. Because why does denial exist? Denial exists because someone doesn't have the emotional maturity to look at the truth. And why does that occur? Because that individual feels like on some level, I can't handle the truth, so I must act like it doesn't exist. So to truly be in a state of awareness also means to be practicing emotional mastery and emotional maturity. Do you guys understand these concepts? So, emotional alchemy is the process of, number one, learning how to be very, very present with your emotional self, and learning to listen to the emotional self, learning to investigate the perspective of the emotional self, or the perspective that's influencing the emotional self. It's to become very, very present with the energy of emotion in order to understand it and in order to validate it. So what happens most of the time in your guys' lives is, even though you don't realize it, you're asking other people to validate your own emotional states. And when someone else does not validate your emotional state, then that has a domino effect, and then you go into other emotional states, and the cycle continues of trying to get somebody else to soothe your emotional pain. And the reality is that that is rarely ever going to happen, simply because most human beings are not at an extreme place of emotional maturity. And so they don't have the skill set necessary to be able to do that. So what needs to occur first is for every single human being to realize that having emotional maturity happens with yourself first. And the ability to be present with your own emotions, the ability to fully feel them, is the introduction or the beginning of being able to also extend that to others. And once you get really good at being able to be present with your own emotional states and understand why they exist, then you're better able to do that with others. And then this creates a domino effect, and the entire emotional well-being of a society becomes healthier because people are understanding how to do this. Now, the process of turning a negative emotion into a positive emotion is really just an energetic process of presence. So when you're able to hold extreme presence with a negative emotion and you're able to listen to it, and if you think about it in this way, think about it like, well, anyone who's been around a child, if a child has their feelings hurt or is upset about something, what do you naturally do? You naturally listen to the child. You allow the child to express themselves, and you offer compassion. It's a very simple process, really. So if you can move your own need to be right out of the way, or move your own need to control what the child feels out of the way, then you can be in this open space of deeply listening and deeply feeling what the child is bringing to the table emotionally. And you really can just be quiet through that whole thing, never even say anything, but truly offer your heartfelt compassion, truly offer your just listening. Perhaps you can't even engage compassion at that moment, but just engaging your listening and your presence begins to validate the child as they're expressing themselves. So it's this exact same idea, only practiced with your own emotional self. So what happens with humans most of the time is that a negative emotion occurs, and then the human being tries to escape the negative emotion because it's uncomfortable. And often, what is a negative emotion doing? Often a negative emotion is telling you that you need to change something. It's teaching you about some type of navigation that needs to occur in your life. And whether or not you feel like you have the courage or the skill or the whatever to address whatever the emotion is communicating to you really has an impact on your ability to actually face that negative emotion. So it's a really deep concept, and it really takes you down all kinds of rabbit holes, emotional rabbit holes. But that is valuable because the more you learn how to be present in this way, the more you can go down these emotional rabbit holes, and you can really bring a lot of healing to yourself. Because when you realize that you truly can take negative emotional energy and you can transform it into positive emotional energy simply by being with it, by listening to it, and by problem solving, by engaging your thinking ability with what it brings to you, then is there anything that you cannot solve? No. And when you do this as a collective, is there anything that you could not solve together? No. So truly being able to engage in emotional energy with the mastery that we're about to teach you is one of the answers for society becoming harmonious, healthier, happier. So do you guys understand this concept? Very good. So what we like to do at the very beginning of this is we like to just take some inventory on very quickly where you are emotionally, or if you don't want to address yourself, where you feel like the world is, because these emotional alchemies that we do on Mondays are for the world. So if you would like to share, we'd love to hear what you have to say.
I am currently frustrated and a little mad at myself that I haven't done more, and I'm not doing more right now.
Okay. Thank you, Susan.
Hey, Geschichte, I'm here for Gilchrist. Emotion of feeling dejected.
What's that term?
I do.
Thank
Sounds
you.
like a SAT book.
I'm a deject.
Anyone else like to share?
For me, easily anger comes up.
Anger, very good. That's a very good one. A lot of people are feeling that right now.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, I'm feeling fearful, not of the situation, but fearful of changing the life I've been used to.
Very good.
Fearful of making changes in my life.
Very good. And we can feel that a lot of people are feeling that right now too. Thank you.
Frustrated.
Frustrated?
Yes.
Okay, very good. A lot of people are feeling that as well.
I would say impatient.
Okay, very good. A lot of people are feeling that as well.
I have to say, fearful of losing my freedoms and really angry about not knowing how, well, not fearful of losing my freedom and not knowing how to live in that environment, or even if I'd want to.
Yeah, a lot of people are feeling that too. Thank you for sharing that.
And mine would be annoyed how long it's taking things to change. Just taking ages.
Very good. A lot of
I'm
people.
also having difficulty transitioning between my bubble world and then stepping out into craziness. And when I'm not in that craziness, it's almost like you can forget, and then and then it's so overwhelming when you go out to all the masks, and that triggers so much stuff for me, that I think that's what I'm working on is before I can get into that place of sending love and compassion. It's like, oh my God, I gotta figure out how to stand up for myself or my truth. But the whole, controlled and, that is just such deep stuff for me, that I'm trying to work through that to get to the compassion.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Ellen. That's a very astute realization, and definitely an important one in the realm of spiritual discussions, because it is very important to realize when you're putting a cart before a horse, meaning trying to go into a state of love and compassion when you're genuinely in a state of fear, for example, it's just a lie, isn't it? So it's very important to know how to be honest with oneself so that you can actually work with wherever you are. And that would probably be our main critique of spiritual movements in the world today, is the lack of honesty about where someone truly is and how that's actually impeding someone's spiritual development. And spiritual development and emotional development they're hand in hand. You cannot separate the two. It's impossible to separate the two because emotional maturity is spiritual maturity. Yes. So thank you for sharing that. Anyone else want to share? And then we have a note that says tired and exhausted. Yes, lots are feeling that as well. So we really appreciate all of your feedback, and it's everything that all of you said also reflects what people are going through in the world right now at large. So it's a very good representation. So what we're going to do, for those of you that have not been a part of this before, what we're going to do is we're going to dive into the issues that you all presented, and we're going to find the thread. Okay, so even if where we start is not what you said, we promise you it's going to get addressed as we go through it. So all you have to do is be in a quiet space, relax, and just hold presence with us as we take you through this emotional journey. That's all you have to do. So just find a way not to be distracted, essentially. Many people fall asleep while we do this. It's because we put you in a very deep receptive state. That's okay if you fall asleep. No big deal. It just means you'll wake up feeling more relaxed. And it's still, you are still getting the energetic treatment as you sleep. So no worries there, okay? But what we're going to teach you is how to be present with this. And those of you that have never been a part of this before, this is recorded. It will be posted on the Angel-Geschichte Facebook page. And so if you found this through one of the groups on Facebook, just click on the Angel-Geschichte page that actually created the event, and you will be able to find the recording there. There will be an audio recording and a video recording so that you can listen to this and learn from it. And some of you came in late, so you can actually hear what we said at the beginning as well. Okay, so everyone just go ahead and start to relax. We're going to dive in and find the starting point and take you on the journey, okay? Okay. So the thread that we can feel through all of you is overwhelmed. So that's where we're going to start. So wherever you feel overwhelmed within you and however it connects to what you said to us, just kind of find that spot emotionally. Allow yourself to sink into it in your chest, in the space where you really feel emotions in your body. And just have the courage in the moment to just feel the uncomfortable nature of it. And as you're in this space, just allow the thoughts to occur. And just remember that in this practice, you're just being the listener and the feeler. So as we sink down into this feeling of overwhelmed, it feels very connected also with confusion. And panic. So we're going to allow this overwhelmed to speak. Every direction I look, there's something new. Something else to take in, something else to consider, something else to face. Some kind of belief that needs changed. So many things to address. I feel like I can't keep up with it. I want to solve the problems, but I don't even know where to start. There are so many problems. So many differing opinions. So much animosity. So much corruption. It's such a mess. It's such a mess that it's paralyzing. Just not knowing where to begin to sort anything. Because it's not just me I'd like to sort. I want to help others sort too. And there's so much to sort. How are we supposed to organize all this chaos? It's exhausting just thinking about it. I realized that in order to take action of any kind, I have to figure out where to start. The energy is changing. Into fear of loss. When I look around, there's so much to lose, so much being lost. How can any of us keep up with this loss? I feel fear and heartbreak at the same time. What a mess. I feel like we all keep looking around for something or someone to save us, and nothing is saving us. And there's loss everywhere. I can't even keep up with all of the loss. And perhaps the greatest loss I perceive is the loss of hope. And perhaps that's the one that makes me the most afraid. I want to believe in goodness. I want to believe in recovery. I want to believe in abundance. I want to believe in harmony. But it's so hard when I don't feel like I see it reflected anywhere. The energy's changing into grief. I realize that there's no way for me personally, me alone, to stop all of these areas of momentum. Which means that an aspect of me has to surrender and allow myself to grieve. So that I can let that energy flow through me. And pick up those pieces. And start fresh with what I have left. I can feel that grief is a cleansing of certain kinds. But I also admit that I am in resistance to grieving. I'm in resistance to grieving what I see being lost because it seems so unnecessary. for so much to have been lost. I just want simple things. I just want all humans to be happy. I just want all humans to be healthy. I just want harmony and unity. And for us all to truly care about one another. Those are such simple things to desire, and yet so seemingly hard to achieve. And I am grieving in my disappointment of us not achieving it right now. The energy is changing. Into responsibility. So I allow myself to feel all of these different aspects of emotion. The one thing I become certain of is that those of us who are willing must claim responsibility. We must claim responsibility for any way that we've contributed to the dysfunction of the entirety. We must claim responsibility for being a part of the transformation from dysfunction into function. We must claim responsibility to our own courage and our ability to take action in important ways. We must claim responsibility for what we observe, what we feel, what we communicate, and how we lead. We must claim responsibility for our role in any dynamic, whether it be personal or societal. We must claim responsibility for our own anger and genuinely examine why we're angry and what we can do about it. The energy is changing into anger. It's so easy to go into blame once I find myself in anger. And it's very true that not everything is my fault. And it's very true that many things are someone else's fault. But it's also true that my position in a dynamic is very important to understand in order to handle my anger appropriately. Because I must understand my part in a dynamic. Which led to me feeling anger. And once I understand my part, I can more easily understand someone else's part. And therefore I can more easily take action that will produce positive results. When I'm angry because things are forced upon me, I must evaluate what needs to be done to ensure that things are not forced upon me. I must evaluate my own sense of empowerment or my own sense of victimhood. I must evaluate my own sense of weakness, my own sense of ignorance and lack of knowledge. I must evaluate my own lack of courage. I must evaluate how I've been allowing myself to be taken advantage of. And correct these things. So that I can genuinely stand in a different platform, taking action from a different platform, and therefore achieving different results. I realize that when we are angry together and we understand why we're angry, we can use the energy of anger to problem solve and unite. We can use the energy of anger for momentum. When we allow ourselves to be observant while in a state of anger, so that we clearly understand why we're angry and take accountability within the anger, we can achieve very powerful results. The anger is not meant to own us. It's just meant to teach us about what we're meant to take action toward and about what we're meant to embody that we haven't been embodying. Anger is often a sign of our own self-betrayal. So how have we betrayed ourselves? And how have we betrayed each other? And how can we correct these things? The energy is changing. Into accountability. I can clearly see that accountability is the broad answer. In fact, a world where every single person is fully accountable is a very healthy world. And so I commit myself to doing my part in accountability. Always finding the way to take ownership of my own life. Always finding a way to take ownership of my part in any dynamic. And always challenging others to take ownership for theirs as well. I can clearly feel that this accountability energy is the most spectacular sorter. It sorts everything. It organizes everything. It also clearly illuminates all of that which is unaccountable. And so those of us truly committed to accountability can clearly see where accountability is not taking place. And together, we can address that which is unaccountable. And create movements toward accountability. Accountability is so much different than punishment. Accountability is the intelligence of divinity, easily balancing the score. Accountability is karma. And as we master accountability, we also master so many of the issues that are causing problems. So I choose accountability over blame. Meaning, if something is mine to correct, I will correct it. And if something is yours to correct, I will hold you accountable for correcting it. And in this way, the energy is easily sorted. I realize that accountability is the opposite of control. For one who is accountable doesn't need to control anything. Because the energy aligns itself. I realize that accountability is a very centered space. A very reflective space. A very open space. And a very observant space. I can feel that accountability does not have confusion. because it is easy to tell what is truly mine to take care of and what is someone else's to take care of. And this eliminates unnecessary entanglement. The energy is changing into courage. As I go through these processes and allow myself to feel what the energy is teaching me, I feel great courage in being the leader of my own life. I feel great courage in allowing others to be the leader of their own lives. And I feel great courage in taking action wherever action is needed. I do have the courage to experience empowerment. And in the world today, it certainly does take courage to truly experience empowerment. The energy is changing into empowerment. I feel a beautiful sense of power by owning my life in this way. I feel a sense of expansion. I feel space around me as I own my own space. I feel free to move within my own space. I feel resolute in my desire to be a part of creating a beautiful, free, harmonious world. And I feel inspired to be a part of this movement. I do know that through our thoughts, through our actions, through our willingness to face things together, through our willingness to support one another, through our willingness to be accountable and take accountable action, I do know that with all of this, we have the power to create absolute majesty, harmony, unity, abundance, health, freedom, prosperity, and joy. We have that power together. We are creators at our core. We simply need to set our sights on what we're creating and hold ourselves accountable to creating it. Problem solving with diligence. We are all children of the great Creator. Gifted with the very essence of powerful life. We are born free. Free to love. Free to choose. Free to create. Free to connect. These are our birthrights. And there is no force greater than the great Creator, which means that these gifts are still ours. And we must hold ourselves accountable for owning them and expressing them and living them. And hold others accountable for trying to snuff them out. Our connection is the answer. Always. And through this connection, we are empowered. Always. Take note of how you feel. And allow yourself to slowly come back. So how do you guys feel?
I love how you go through so many emotions through this. But I was at the end of these, I always feel like, you know, I want the pom-poms to come out. I just, it just feels really good. But, you know, I personally went through, you know, some grief in the beginning around, I loved what you said about, you know, when is someone going to save us? And, you know, that's such a, I remember that, you know, when I was young, it's like, when is someone going to save me? And, you know, I find myself kind of saying the same thing instead of, you know, what can you do? Or what are you responsible for? Or what can you hold yourself accountable for? Where's the courage? So, you know, all of that was really good for me, Geschichte. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ellen, for that wonderful feedback. Anyone else want to share? Do you all feel better? Go ahead, Chantal.
You definitely hit the note with the anger and to blame. Really, that really got to the heart, and turning that around. It's a good way of transferring through that. So, yeah, thank you. Thanks for that.
Excellent. Thank you, Chantal. Anyone else want to share? We greatly appreciate all of you being on today. And just know that as you play this recording, you continue to help yourself and this pathway that we helped carve for you. And you also help the world with playing this recording, since we all did this on behalf of the world as well. So your involvement is more appreciated than we can express. And all of you who are willing to do this kind of work on behalf of yourself and your fellow humans are appreciated more than you know. So please look for the recording. It really does help to listen to it. If you so feel like it, you can also transcribe the alchemy itself, and it is very helpful for getting you through various emotional things. Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks,
Thank
Geschichte.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.